Hey everybody, it's been a little while, but today we're going to be taking a look at 1.2.0, the Asymmetry update. This isn't a huge, massive update, but it does have 4 new maps, so let's just jump in and take a look at those. So the first one we got here is called Lift, and it has a series of vertical platforms here that are connected with a whole mess of teleporters. You'll notice that most of these teleporters are going to the middle floor here, but a couple of them actually make it all the way to the top floor. I'm obviously trying to encourage the player to make use of those teleporters to bring the creep path up here and make use of this area. While this map is a little difficult to wrap your head around at first, requires some real 3D thinking, it's not super far down the difficulty list. There is a lot of build space on this map, and if you set it up just right, the creep path is quite enormous. But yeah, it'll take a little bit of brain power to kind of untangle this one. Moving on. Alright, the next one we got is called Dial. And you'll see here that there are 2 creep paths going in opposite directions, and they're speeding around in this circle, getting sped along by these conveyors. Each area here has kind of its own little platform for you to make a little mini maze on, each one being a little bit different. And in the middle here we have some high potency boosted platforms for things like Gallers, Rangers, artillery turrets, that kind of thing. This one's pretty straightforward, but figuring out the right mix of turrets is a little bit tricky. You do have to cover a lot of ground, and there's no way to share a path between these upper and lower sections. So yeah, long range turrets are a must here. Alright, we're going to move on to a couple of the randomized maps. So this one is called Asymmetry. And you can see that we have these 3 tilted platforms, and they're heavily randomized hallways connected up with a series of 1 or 2 bridges in between these segments. And what's interesting about this is that you may want to put things like mortars or gattlers up on these elevated sections to cover the platforms they're not directly connected to. So I'll just flip through the randomizer here and show you how things are changing. Now this can get a little bit tricky because all the turrets you have to place are going to be pretty close to a creep, so once attackers show up, you're going to have to worry about turret health and repair and that kind of thing. But you kind of have to keep all 3 paths in your head at once, as some turrets on one platform may be more effective at hitting creeps on a different one. Alright, moving on. So this one is called Tunnel. And you can see that it's pretty much a straightforward shot across these series of platforms, but each one of these platforms has a loop that you can take advantage of, so you can send them up through the loop, increasing the length of their path. Or what you could do is actually use some of the loop connectors and actually build turrets up there and fire downward onto these platforms. You also have to deal with creeps moving in opposite directions, so you don't have a ton of available build space on this one, so you'll probably want to pinch the paths together and send them up these loops and waste some creep time as best you can. Okay, so that's all I got for this update. I wanted to get an update out there before the holidays, and don't forget there is a little holiday winter mod that you can activate. I'm not going to turn it on default this year. I did last year, but you can just go into the settings menu and just flick it on if you like. Get into the spirit of things, in case you don't have enough snow in your life already. Yeah, so not a lot of features in this one. A whole bunch of stuff in the patch notes, so you'll want to take a look. A lot of tuning. I generally made a lot of the later turrets a little bit cheaper or more effective, as I noticed a lot of people were just building blasters and nothing else. That should help a bit, ease up on the difficulty a tiny bit, but for the most part I wanted to give everybody a fresh set of maps. But yeah, that's 1.2 everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a good holiday, and see you next time!